So we're looking at the 10 steps in the partner journey. What are you saying in terms of selecting and making new partners?
Well, I think this is a critically important issue for most firms. And again, I think firms aren't thinking about it enough and they're not documenting it enough. So many of the projects you and I are working on with that sort of broader governance piece, we say, well, how do you make your partners up? And they sort of look nervously and just talk about having partner meetings and deciding. And then I think, typically in those same firms, when we do a bit of talking to either salaried partners who want to become equity partners or associates who want to move up and become a partner, we don't know what the rules are. This is an opaque world to us. And it ties back to the conversation we had in the first session about the path to partnership. And I think the process of making partners has to be equally clear, because we need to make sure that the path to partnership is actually retaining the people we want to retain. And I think an important part of that retention is an understanding of what it takes to become a partner, but also what the process is. And again, as a firm, I think it's good for us to think about that process and write it down. Technical skills, they're taken for granted, but they can't be taken for granted. We need to both assess them, but we need several partners to have worked with that individual to be able to validate their legal skills. How are we managing that? Or are we going to be relying on one partner saying, well, they've only worked for me, but they're really good? And what are the motivations of that?
Because I was going to say, presumably the most important partner gets the promotions they want. Isn't that the way it works in law firms?
It's the way that it does work in some law firms. It is not the way it should work. Again, we need to remind ourselves that partnerships are collections of individuals. We all need to be comfortable with our partners. Even in the larger firms, there needs to be a process that partners can rely upon, not only to test the legal skills, and that needs to be an absolute test, I would argue, but a validated test. Typically, in my view, by working for several partners, not just one partner. And that can be hardwired. So, the big bad partner who's trying to make up all their associates can't get away with that because the associates have to work for other partners. So it really is a helpful part of the story. Secondly, we need to understand the individual. What's their motivation? We were talking about in an earlier session how motivations have changed. We need to understand those to see, whether the person we're proposing to make a partner actually wants to be a partner. I mean, many firms, especially the larger firms, when you make a partner, you're probably making a $50 million investment. That sounds like a huge number, but do the math. And even in smaller, less profitable firms, it's a very big number. In any business, you wouldn't make a decision of that magnitude just because one partner says, I like them, or I think we need Mary because she's good at data protection.
And do you think, when I interview these potential partners in firms and try and help them develop the competencies, I'm surprised that not only do they not understand the role of a partner, some of them are not inquisitive about what it means. And remember those salary partners we've interviewed, those equity partners we've interviewed, we ask about the finances of the firm and they haven't looked through the finances and they don't understand how the firm works. So they're signing up for something without really understanding what it is and what the commitment required is to do that well.
I'm smiling. I was one of 13 partners made in my year. And it became a great sort of cause célèbre that one of us, I now know who, wasn't me, asked for the accounts before saying yes. I was so surprised at being asked to be a partner, I just said, thank you very much, and left the room. One of my fellow candidates who became a partner said, I'll have a look at the books first, please.
Oh, nice.
I think it's more worrying than not asking for the books.
Yes.
I come across too many associates who don't understand the basic elements of how a law firm works. The fact that we are billing hours, we are charging our clients, and we have a huge number of costs. And just the basic elements of the financial structure of a law firm, let alone how my particular law firm is working, is depressing at one level.
And if you're sleepwalking into the partner role, you're going to fall off the cliff when they say, well, where are the numbers and how are you doing to develop the business and are you successful or not, when you've never really understood what that role and responsibility is.
Well, we've seen in the UK several law firms collapse of late. It's a relatively rare phenomenon, but we've seen some big well-known firms. Inson&Co comes immediately to mind. Halliwell's up in Manchester. There's been some very big firms collapse. The ones I feel sorry for are the guys who made partner, the week before the collapse.
Yes.
Who suddenly find themselves with all sorts of liabilities related to the collapse of the law firm, and they hadn't got a clue.
So when we're asked, should partners contribute financially to the firm when they join equity, the two elements there is are they paying for their share, as you would in a typical company, yes or no, but also are you contributing to capital? And in those firms where they do make some kind of capital contribution or sign an insurance against that requirement, they seem to think much harder about what they're getting themselves into.
Well, I'm a fan of capital contribution. I think partners should have some skin in the game. I have no problem whatsoever with that concept. What I do have a problem with is the partner who's making that capital investment not asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And these are meant to be smart people. And the thing they do most badly, and I guess we're all victims of this, is, when it's our own money and our own situation, our own agreement. How many partners read the partnership agreement before they sign it?
Well, you can never understand them. That's a problem. I mean, they're too long and they're too rounded.
But we don't do the diligence that we would advise our clients to do.
And what are your views on this oddity? You have one group of partners often in the partner selection committee. There may be another group of partners thinking about the strategy and growth of the firm, or there may even be a third group looking at partner remuneration and profitability. So are we not guilty of thinking of these things in buckets without having a holistic view about how we're growing, what the financial health and hygiene of the firm is, and where these new people will be fitting into that?
Well, my other question for the list for the new partner is, I think I may have received it in the past, but could I have the strategy of the firm as circulated amongst the partners? So I think as a new partner, understanding that is really important. But I do bring this back to, I'm afraid, I blame the firms. I think the firms need to be much more transparent about the criteria to become a partner and actually provide the information that it would be reasonable for a partner to ask, rather than criticizing our partners to be for not asking the right questions. Let's go on the front foot and share with them the things that we think are important that they know.
But it could be part of the test, Stephen. You don't give them prospectus with the answers. You see if they ask the questions, and if they ask the right questions, do you think that they're more likely to be good partners on the other side?
So you're suggesting, Murray, if they don't, we withdraw the offer of partnership?
No, they pay more for their contribution.
Because they're riskier.